Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Estella's Intuitive Chamber. I'm doing something new today. Now, this video is a bit different. As you all know, that there are things that we cannot see, we cannot hear. We think we're alone, we're not alone, we're never alone. Sometimes different realms, they overlap, they interlock with each other. There's people that experience seeing things that they show up and they show up as quickly as they disappear. No one believes you, obviously. I'm very happy that this society is slowly opening up to the possibility that the metaphysical is real, and that I think the government also admitted that there's multiple realities. If there's multiple universes, multiple realities, you know that there's things out there. Whether you want to admit it or not, there's things out there, and I'm here to talk about that. A little background. First of all, I'm a moon in Scorpio. As you can probably tell, if you understand at least a tiny bit of astrology, you can understand that paranormal and metaphysical and anything that's unseen and unknown, and this realm has been a big passion of mine. It's been so since I was a little kid. Ever since I learned how to speak, how to express myself, that was the first thing that I would say. That there's things out there, there's things that they're here. You cannot see them, you cannot hear them. I was talking about aliens, I was talking about ghosts, I was talking about mythical creatures, I was talking about cryptids. It's been a huge part of my life. It's something that has been just part of my personality. And as far as I remember, as far as I was so little, this thing was the first thing that I associated with. There's this huge, passionate, deep interest into the metaphysical. And I'm really, as long as I'm alive, I am so looking forward to exploring this completely. If I may and if I can, I want to get to the bottom of this. I have an investigative mind, and I've always had, and I just like to not only investigate the metaphysical, but I also love to talk about it, and I love to try, in a way, and rationalize this as well. Because I know one day will come that this will be actually a scientific term and will be scientifically explained. We unfortunately haven't gotten to that yet. But as a species, we will get there eventually. Now, there's a lot of talks about UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and things like that maybe 30 years ago would have labeled you to be a tinfoil lunatic or a crazy person with schizophrenia. So what I want to get to the point to is the experience that I've had on the 24th of August, the night of the 24th of August. And it's something super, super interesting. Personally, I think it changed my perspective in certain ways. How will I even begin? I went to sleep and I was pretty tired. I remember I was very tired. For a reason, I was just like, oh my God, I just need to go to sleep right now. And I remember sometime during the night, I don't know what time it was, I remember falling asleep. It was a pretty deep sleep. Suddenly I woke up with what I thought was street lights. I first thought, because they were getting so bright. And so I thought to myself, what kind of idiot is flashing car lights into my window? And the thing is, the window is it's not on the ground level. It's a bit it's on the first floor, basically. I thought, who the hell would do that in the middle of the night? This is so annoying. I'm actually tempted to go out there and say, what the hell is going on, But I thought, because I was so tired, I was just I just can't be bothered with this right now. I'm so tired. I just want to sleep. And I remember just the memory of the very bright lights into my. After that, what I can remember is being transported from my bedroom into the kitchen. The kitchen has a small window, and it's overlooking the neighbor's house, and then I can technically see the neighbor's roof. And what I happened to see on the roof was, first of all, black cylindrical object descended on top of the roof, and I remember it was it was very thin. To me, it appeared to be quite big, but it was quite back in the distance. It had a cylindrical shape. It was completely black. I remember it was completely black. I remember it was very shiny. Like I was surprised how shiny it was. It almost looked like polished clean. Um, it almost looked like a bullet. That's exactly how I can describe, like a black bullet, like a black shiny bullet. And I just saw it moving vertically and descending on top of the roof. It felt like I've been literally transported. I've been floated to look into the window, and basically, as this object descended on the rooftop across the window, the neighbor's house, suddenly I can see out of nowhere just this being appears, and this being is, if you have ever watched Salad Fingers. I know it was a thing when I was a teenager. We all watched it. We were laughing at it. We were like, "Oh my god, this is so spooky and this is so fucked up," you know. But it was kind of funny, something like that. Like something, if you had read Creepypasta, and there's the rake that was mentioned, very long limbs and white in color and bold. That's how it looked like, except it was extremely tall, very skinny. And I remember it had almost like the Nazca mummies, something, that sort of appearance. Someone who is just very elongated, like who has very elongated limbs. I remember the skin was very white. The eyes were almond shaped, like big almond shaped, and they were going upwards. The head was quite large, I would say, quite large but skinny. You know, it wasn't like chubby or anything. It was just a skinny face. Definitely, I saw a black suit. There was a black suit, and he was floating, or he or she or it, whatever. I couldn't really make out the gender. There was almost like I felt there was no gender there. It was floating on top of the rooftop, and I remember there was 4 fingers. They were very long, I mean, this is not just like long fingers. This is very long fingers, and the suit. I remember the suit, which was up to here, very like almost had a, you know, have you ever seen the mummies that have very elongated heads? And it's not a typical gray. I know how they describe gray aliens, but that definitely wasn't it. It was way too like pale and white, almost looked like a vampire creature that's just a bit, I wouldn't say deformed, because everything was very symmetrical from what I could perceive in that moment. And I remember I was paralyzed. I remember I was just completely like, I couldn't move. I remember I was like horrified, but almost the moment I started feeling like, you know, you're like really scared. You're like, oh my God, you want to shout, you want to scream, you just want to go crazy, because like you cannot believe you're here seeing this. You know, my mind was like, oh my God, this is an alien. I've never seen something so specific. And I remember the eyes. The eyes was something that didn't give me any fear. I wasn't afraid. It was just like looking at me. It's almost like staring into your soul, and you can't move. This is beyond anything you've ever. This is a power beyond anything. It can do anything it wants to you, but it didn't give me the feeling like it was going to. It did give me a feeling like it wanted to communicate. It wanted to really show itself. That's what I felt. And I remember staring into these eyes, and I was starting to panic, feeling so overwhelmed by what I'm just seeing. And it was like almost telepathic messages coming into my head that I have to be calm, that nothing's bad gonna happen to me, everything's gonna be fine. Basically, I felt this strange familiarity and this strange reassurance that I almost trusted this being. I'm like, it's not gonna harm me. It just wants to take me somewhere. And I remember that it said to me that now we're gonna go up, basically. And that was it. Anyway, we go up in the skies, and I get shown. It was strange. First of all, they were talking about the month of September a lot. There was more people, beings. I don't know, I knew there was a lot of somebody around me. They were talking about the month of September. They did say, look, something very big is going to happen in September. This is going to be like the culmination to leading up to events in the future and this and that. And I was so confused, like, okay, it's an event happening in September. It's very significant. It's going to be an event leading to like a domino effect, basically almost like a beginning to something, you know? I remember that I saw that what looked like a scorpion, like a symbol of a scorpion. I saw like a catastrophe type of event, and I saw like papers, almost like 9/11 papers just flying everywhere. Like it was crazy. It was so much dust and you couldn't see anything. And there was lots of like bad things, you know, around. And the date of the election was mentioned, the 15th of November, which is like, I have no connections to America. I've been to America once in my life, and you know, I've no connections there. I've no there was nothing. The 15th of November was like shown to me a lot, and these papers flying everywhere, and it's like chaos. But I remember that when I was up there, that I definitely remember I was naked. Definitely, because there was a mirror and I saw myself naked. And I remember that whoever was there was discussing my fertility, that like my ovulation date was being discussed, and it was like very intense being discussed. It was very formal. It was almost like going to the doctor, you know. So I thought it was very strange. I remember looking at myself in this mirror and I was naked, and I remember seeing all this, what looked like laser type of burns around my abdomen, basically from the reproductive area. I remember seeing this like laser, almost like burned skin. And I remember I asked one of them, is this radiation? Is this gonna harm me? Is it gonna hurt me? Like, what are you doing to me? And it was always the same, like, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine, don't worry about it, just relax, everything's fine. And I just remember almost I started crying, seeing like, oh my God, what? I would say they look like laser burn marks. And I thought to myself, that's gonna really hurt me when I wake up. Like that looks so painful. But they assured me, you're not, like, you wake up, you won't feel anything, it's gonna be fine. And I woke up and there was nothing there. I checked and I was like checking in the mirror, there was really nothing there. I remember feeling a bit weird the next day, almost like, I don't know if you had ever had surgery, then you wake up after general anesthetics and you just don't feel right. Like you feel like, I feel a bit queasy, that type of feeling. I remember couple of nights before this happened, I left the window open because it was very hot. I was sleeping, and there was a being that I felt someone coming into the room. It was so in the middle of the night, what I believe, and I just saw this very tall, almost like an aura. I didn't really see the creature. I just knew someone had come in. I just knew, and I opened my eyes in that moment. And you know, when you're so tired, you can't really see properly because you're just after waking up. And I just saw the outline of this big, tall being, and I remember seeing white skin. And I remember thinking the aura around this being was very like bright, like very, I remember it was like almost like a blue-white aura that was shining around. And I actually thought it was really beautiful. I thought, oh my God, this is scary as hell, but this is actually beautiful. Who is this? And I first thought someone had an astral projection and accidentally ended up in my room, which can happen, you know. But I was like, oh my God, someone's come to see me, you know? And I remember the moment I've seen it saw me and it just escaped through the window. I was like, no, she cannot see I'm here. And then a couple of days later, then the abduction happened, I suppose. I don't know, was I being examined? I don't know. That's why I'm making this video. And, you know, my channel will have a lot of topics like this. with astrology, with tarot, I absolutely love that. But there's also things that I'm really willing to discuss, and I'm confident enough, because even though you can come and say, look, this was just a dream and this isn't real, and it's absolutely fine. It's still an experience that really shook me to my core, and it shook me so much that I actually had to write this in my little book. And I don't really write dreams down. Then I joined an alien abductee group on Facebook, and I told about my dream, and the responses I got were just like, nah, that wasn't a dream. Honey, that was not a dream. Gosh, like, really? Like, I never thought I'd be, like, recording this video. Oh my God, the eyes. It was, the eyes were of a golden white color, but the eyes were really big, kind of almond shaped. And this being was bold as well, bold and white. And just the eyes just contained, I felt like they contained every single information about me, everything. That just were like, they were in my head a lot. I just felt the eyes, the bright golden, that they were like shiny. They weren't black, they were shining this bright color. And they were like looking at me, but for a strange reason, anybody normal would feel terrified. And I just felt this calm coming over me. And I didn't worry, even though I wanted to feel terrified, but I just didn't. So strange experience, worthy of a video, worthy of a scandalous video, because this video is gonna give me a tinfoil badge now, so but that's fine, because nothing in my life is really normal. I grew up with eccentricity, and I grew up with unusual things and unexpected things, so for me this is just a normal part of everyday life, so I'm neither scared. As you can tell, it's a passion of mine for me. Actually, I have two witnesses to this, but when we were 16, we were sitting on top of this hill, and we were looking up in the sky, and we just saw like bright orange lights that were like switching and turning off and turning back on and doing this beautiful thing up in the sky, just tuck, 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 and switching, and then they just shut up and disappeared. So that was like one of my first experiences seeing lights. They saw them as well. And at first, I seen them first, and I remember when we were on top of this hill, they were telling me, Stella, you're always, shut up, you're always like, always talking about these things. And then 2 minutes later, these lights showed up, and they seen them as well, and they were like, oh my God, is this a UFO? That was the first thing that one of them said. And I was like, girls, you have to look up, you have to see this. And they were like, oh my God, what is that? I just remember even one of them, she was a very logical person, and very like, oh, I'll believe when I see something. And she was looking and said, what the fuck is that? And I said, well, I told you. So that's it from me for now. Share your experiences. If you had anything weird happening to you, feel free to get in touch with me to maybe try to either rationalize this, or perhaps maybe share your experience. I do really, really want to get in touch with as many people as I can that we can share these stories with, and we can kind of have a safe space together to just share these experiences. Basically, I'm really not the only one. Really not the only one. And if you try to do investigation for yourself or research for yourself, you're gonna very, very well see that it's just more common than you think. That's all from me for now, and I'll see you next time with another video. Thank you so much.